Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the British Tier 10 tank destroyer, the FV215b 183. I'm just going to call it 183 from now on because that's a bit of a mouthful. And the 183 stands for the massive 183mm gun that it possesses. So is this tank any good? Yes, it's a good tank. It can be a heck of a lot of fun, however it can also be extremely frustrating, and having good games and bad games can sometimes be a matter of luck. Let me get into the review. It has 2,000 hit points, which is average for a Tier 10 TD. The most hit points goes to Panzer 100 with 2,200 hit points, and the least goes to the Foch with 1,850 hit points. Weighing in at 60 tons, it's pretty light, although it's not as light as the Object 268 at 51 tons, but it's nowhere near as heavy as the Panzer 100 at 134 massive tons. Speed-wise, it does 34 kilometers an hour in forward and 12 in reverse, and it does actually do that speed, and that's about average. The fastest is the Object 263 with 55 kilometers an hour in forward and 20 kilometers an hour in reverse, and the slowest is the T110E3, a very well-armoured TD, with 24 kilometers an hour in forward and only 8 kilometers an hour in reverse. Traverse-wise, track traverse on this tank is very good at 32 degrees a second, and is equal best along with the Object 263. And that does make the tank difficult to circle, and it does defend itself fairly well against, say, medium tanks. The Panzer 100 is the worst at 20 degrees a second. Now that said, the turret traverse on this thing is very, very slow. It only does 17 degrees, so the gun moves quite slowly. Most of the other TDs have a 27 degree gun traverse, so it is pretty slow to move its gun. View range of 400 is kind of average. Most of them do have 400, except for the Object 263, which is a little better at 410, and the Waffle E100 has 420. Other than that, they're all 400 like this one. Signal range is very good, and look, they're all very good at this tier. Camouflage wise, this tank's not too bad. It's nowhere near as good as the Object 268. But then again, it's nowhere near as bad as a Waffle E100, which has virtually no camouflage. So it's kind of in the middle ground there. It's better than a heavy tank, but it's not fantastic, but it's alright. Now, the gun depression on this tank is pretty poor. It has 5 degrees of gun depression. That said, that's kind of, I guess, on the low side average. A lot of them have pretty bad gun depression in this tier. The T110E3 though does have 8 degrees, that one's pretty good. But the worst is the Object 263 with 4 degrees. So 5 degrees, you know, not great, but it is what it is. So the gun, let's get into the gun. There's nothing to grind on this tank. So you do start with this gun. So it's a 183mm gun, which is huge. It's virtually an artillery gun on a standard tank. Now, just like an artillery gun, it has pretty similar accuracy to artillery. It says the accuracy here is 0.4. No, it's not. It's probably about 0.55, the accuracy. It's nowhere near as good as 0.4. It's pretty bad. And you do have to wait for the gun to fully aim. If you pull the trigger without the gun being fully aimed, you are almost guaranteed to miss. And it has a very long aiming time of 3.4 seconds. The rate of fire of 2 rounds a minute is very slow, so 30-second reload is pretty terrible. 310mm of penetration though is very, very good, and it does 1,150 damage with a standard AP round, which is fantastic. It also does, with the HESH ammo, has HESH ammo and HE ammo. HESH and HE both do 1,750 damage per shot, which is absolutely fantastic and can enable you to one-shot lightly armoured tanks like Batchats and Scouts and those sort of things. Because that's your average damage, 1,750. Sometimes you'll do 1,900 damage with one of these shots, and you can one-shot tanks. However, recently the HESH ammo was nerfed. I think it used to be 275 pen and now it's 230 pen. So on heavily armored tanks it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as it used to. And you really need a flat surface for it to work. The HE ammo is okay. It does do pretty good damage. It has 92 pen, but with that much actual explosiveness it does do okay. and will still do okay when it doesn't hit a flat surface, whereas the Hesh, really, if it doesn't hit a flat surface, it's pretty much stuffed. So yeah, they have their uses, but what used to happen was there would be people who would fire Hesh ammo exclusively because it had the high pen. So you're pretty much guaranteed of doing full damage or close to full damage every time you hit. And so there's people just using this ammunition. I think that's pretty much stopped now, because a lot of heavily armored tanks now, especially if you're hitting them frontally, you'll only be doing maybe 600 damage, something like that, with the Hesh ammo. Whereas with the AP ammo, as long as you pen, you're guaranteed of doing pretty much 1,000 damage every time you hit them. And so you get more consistent damage with AP ammo. So I think it has had the desired effect, and it stopped people using Hesh ammo. And you really need to know what tank you're going to hit to load the ammo in. And the thing is, with a really long reload, you kind of don't know that. You can't like go, oh, I'll just switch to Hesh ammo for this tank, and then 30 seconds later, is that tank even going to be there anymore? Probably not. So you tend to find, I tend to find anyway, I fire mostly AP ammo. I might fire Hesh if I know that all the tanks remaining don't have very good health, or something like that. Plus, I don't like using premium ammo anyway because it's damn expensive, and this tank, it's especially expensive. Let's have a look. Your standard ammunition is 2,250 per round, so it's not cheap. Hesh ammo is 8,000 per round, so it's very pricey, and you can find yourself, if you're missing, you can find yourself just losing money just from ammunition. If you decide to pay gold, it's 20. The HE ammo is actually the cheapest ammo you possess at 1,900 per round. So, yeah, Hesh is frightfully expensive. Now, on this tank, I have a gun laying drive, a gun rammer, and vents fitted. So basically, I'm doing everything I can to speed up the loading time and aiming time of the gun. The tank is the gun. I also have, in my crew, they all have brothers in arms, also just to speed up the loading. Some of the others have a mixture of repairs and camouflage. I have clutch braking on the driver, and he is currently working on smooth ride. And I have snapshot on the this guy, whoever he is, and my main dude, the commander, has Sixth Sense, and he's working on repairs as well. So that's the crew will be pretty much like that, or maybe a bit less than that during the games. And as I said, the equipment I have fitted. Also have fire extinguisher, large repair kit, and large first aid kit fitted. You probably don't need the fire extinguisher anymore. This tank used to catch a fire very often from hits to the front and the front side because it was hitting the engine. But since 9.3, they have made it so that tanks, any tier 8 and above tanks that had that problem, don't catch fire from that very easily anymore. So you probably don't need the extinguisher anymore. I'm going to show you some. I'll show you the tank inspector and talk a bit more about it in tank inspector, and then I've got a compilation of AP ammo, HE ammo, and Hesh ammo for you to look at. So there's heaps of shots, about 20 in each, so you can see the kind of damage being done by the guns and then decide for yourself from that. And then I've got a couple of games for you to have a look at as well. Other than that, this tank, yeah, the accuracy, it's very, very, very unreliable. And you only get 12 rounds of ammunition in total in the gun. I'm carrying most of my games 7 AP rounds, 2 Hesh, and 3 HE. But you've only got 12 rounds, so you're limited in your ammunition. So when you miss, especially when you miss with a Hesh round, it's very painful. You're losing a lot of money. You've got a huge reload before you can shoot again. And you can go through games where you fire 7-8 rounds and get 0 damage just because you don't hit, or when you do hit you bounce, or you just get track damage or something ridiculous like that. So it can be very frustrating, but it can be a lot of fun when you really smash tanks as well. Alright, let's get into Tank Inspector. So let's check out the 183 in Tank Inspector. It has exactly the same hull as the FV215b British heavy tank, which is going to be taken out of the game and replaced with, I think it's the Chieftain soon. I'm not sure which patch it'll happen, but it's going to happen because it's not very good. And one of the reasons is its armor isn't very good. So hence the armor on the 183 isn't that good either. It has the same hull, although the turret isn't as good. The heavy tank's turret is a very good turret. The turret on this isn't quite as good. So it doesn't have great armor. So starting with the lower plate, which is a major weakness on this tank, it only has 76mm. Thankfully, the engine doesn't catch on fire from frontal hits anymore. They have fixed that because it used to catch fire all the time. So that's good, but an obvious weak point, and pretty much anybody that you will meet can punch through your lower plate. So try and keep your lower plate covered if you can, and definitely wiggle your tank to make it harder for it to hit. The upper plate is 152mm, and whilst that doesn't sound very thick, it's quite well sloped and does bounce some shots, especially when angled like that. You can see there you're getting around 250. Front on, not so much, but it still is fairly bouncy. It's not too bad, that front upper plate. The side of the tank, it does have 6mm of spaced armor, but it's only overlaying 51mm of armor underneath. So it's pretty easily penetrated from the side, or very easily penetrated from the side. And side scraping this tank doesn't work very well. As well as that, this upper portion here has no spaced armor on it, and from a side shot, it's not very strong. You can side scrape narrowly like this, and sometimes get away with it. But yeah, you get penetrated in the side fairly easily. The rear of the tank is only 76 and 38 down here, but hey, it's a TD, so what do you want? Now, on the turret is a bit more complex. This area here is 152mm and does have some sloping on the sides of it, so if I hit that side bit, it's not going to pen. But the front of it isn't super strong, and it does get penned pretty easily because it's relatively flat. Underneath here, there is a strong section of 254mm. Of course, there's a lot of TDs and heavies that can still pen that, but yeah, it's not too bad. This section here, though, is terrible at 127mm, and whilst it is sloped, it's not going to stop anybody. And the sides of the turret are only 102mm, but you are getting a ricochet angle from the front. However, from a little bit from the side, it's very, very weak, anywhere from the side there. And the rear of the turret is 76mm. Top of the turret is 45mm, which is actually pretty good, but the top deck of the tank is only 32mm, and artillery will smash you to pieces. As well as these frontal areas here, a lot of people do shoot these upper areas. You can see here it's 76mm, and this orange bar can be hit and is only 140mm. So a lot of people do aim for that, but to be honest, most people just aim around about the center, around here near the gun, and generally pen you pretty easily. Alright, let's get into the game. Oh, I forgot to show you, we'll show you the gun traverse on this tank, so you can have a look at that. Whoops, about there, looks pretty good. Okay, so let's have a look at the gun traverse. So it's not a bad gun traverse at all. You can see we've got quite a good gun traverse. I'm not sure what that is. That's probably about a 90-degree gun traverse, so it's pretty good. Alright, let's get into this gameplay.
Move out.
Okay, so here we are on our Tier 10 British tank destroyer, the 183. There's quite a few Tier 10s. The enemy has 6 Tier 10 tanks, mostly tank destroyers and a couple of mediums. They don't have any heavies. And on our side, we have 1 tank destroyer, and all the rest of our Tier 10s are mediums. So we're probably firepower-wise a little low, but we've got the mobility, I guess you could say. And then there's a bunch of Tier 9s and some Tier 8s as well, so a bit of a spread. So giving you a bit of a chance to have a look at the speed of the 183. It's not super fast, but it's not slow. And you can see there the gun rotation. It does have a fair bit of movement in the gun, or the semi-traversable turret. Lining up on a 262A here. I really fired that round. I don't know if I was fully aimed, but you can see that the shot just went into outer space, basically. Went absolutely nowhere near the target. Now, this particular game, I didn't do a heck of a lot of damage. Bit of a spoiler for you there. But I'm showing it to you because it does show kind of like the average play of this tank, rather than showing you... So rather than showing you a fantastic game, this first game I've got for you is a game where I can say, okay, This is how the tank normally operates. You know, you can see the failings of the tank in this game. And it's probably a tank that really, sniping at long range isn't its thing because it's not very accurate. It's probably better, you know, trying to side scrape and hit, but the armor's not that good for side scraping either, because it's kind of one of those in between things. So here we go. E4, aiming for the lower plate here. We do hit the lower plate. You can see the green mark there from the mod I've got where we hit. And we simply bounce with 310 mils of penetration. So an STI hits us and does 439 damage to us. So really, that was a bit unlucky, that shot bouncing. The lower plate of the E4 really should have gone straight through, especially the angle. From what I could see there, we hit it in the perfect spot on the lower plate. Okay, so T-34, oh beautiful. It's waffle, and nice. 1201 damage there with AP ammunition. So, AP ammunition, as long as it pens, very reliable. Sometimes you do under 1,000 damage, like I might only do 900, but generally speaking, you know, you are getting around your average 1150 damage. Now, of course, if we'd had HESH or HE ammo loaded, we could have devastated, like almost one-shot killed if we hit it in the turret where it's lightly armoured. But you don't know. I mean, we just saw that tank, and there you go. We just tracked that bloody tank. We only just saw the tank. You know, I mean, we didn't have time to reload ammo, change our minds. So, yeah, and then like that other tank that just drove past there, that was an E100. We would have done almost nothing to it with HESH. So, loading HESH now is a risky proposition where it wasn't earlier, you know, in the previous patch. And I don't think it really needed the nerf. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me. And there you go, shot lands in the dirt. I know a lot of people disagree, but the accuracy of this gun is so poor, and it really is so much of the game is so much down to luck, that they didn't need to nerf the gun. I don't think. I know people hate being one shot, and people hate being shot by artillery for the same reason. But you know, they haven't. Well, I suppose they did nerf artillery, but artillery can still one-shot kill you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this thing needed to be nerfed. I don't play it very often, and I've missed another shot. I'm a terrible player in this tank. I only have a 44% win rate. My damage ratio is about 1.1, so it's, yeah, it's better than my own hit points. I do more damage than my hit points on average, but it's still not very good. And my average kill rate is about 1.29, I think it was at last look. So I'm not very good in this tank at all. So I'm sure there's people out there having much better games than me. But yeah, I just don't think the HESH needed to be nerfed. Particularly because of the failings of the tank. It doesn't have great armor. It's not super stealthy. The big gun is all it has, really. And it's not accurate. So, yeah, anyway. But the AP ammo is still good, so I suppose it doesn't need the HESH to be fun to play anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I have now loaded HE ammo. I can't remember why I switched to HE. I think it might have been because I thought that most of the tanks remaining were already damaged. That might be why. Now, I've seen here that my tanks, my buddies, are pushing very hard along the flank that we were covering, but our other flank has totally collapsed. So I'm thinking, they're going to be hitting our cap very soon. So I decided to go and defend cap. And I can see behind me there's an ISU 152 and an STI also appear to have come to the same conclusion and are following me. Now, up until now, the only hit I've got that I know of is that hit we got on the W2 E100, the Waffenträger. So we haven't done a lot for the game really, and you can see that we've missed with a lot of shots. And this is typical, especially if you're trying to shoot at range like I've been doing this game. A little bit different if you go into a brawling mode and you're side scraping. There, yeah, you're more likely to hit, although sometimes you'll still bounce and things like that. But you're also more likely to die very, very quickly. So ISU-152 has come back to help as well, which is great. So at least we've got some semi-intelligent players in the game who they're not just all taking off. And the STI seems to be covering us from a heck of a long way back. I prefer it if he was up here, but anyway. So I'm assuming somebody's going to try and cap any minute now. I might just hit 2 times. We can see now that their 183 has been discovered at their base, defending their base. And their T30 is there as well. So I'm still in 2 times, patiently waiting. And I'm, okay, slow back to 1 times here. We've got a shot on this AMX 5100. With HE, we should blow him away. And we hit the dirt. And now, just imagine if that was a Hesh round. You just did 8 grand in cold blood on a fully aimed shot. You know, it's not a lot of fun. Now, that sounded like the ISU-152 next to me just exploded, and he did. Oh dear. The STI has come down now. He's moving forward now to help out. I figure they're capping. As you can see, they're 50% cap. There's 2 of them on cap. If I die, I die, but I've got to reset cap. So I just decide to move forward. So I still have HE loaded, and both these tanks will blow up with HE. As you can see there. So the RHM, we smash him with HE. And you know, there's much less chance of bouncing with HE, which is one of the reasons why I've loaded it. With AP, sometimes you hit the tracks and the tracks will just completely absorb the damage. Like that RHM, I was too scared to aim at his turret in case it completely missed. So I aimed at his tracks, and because it's HE, it doesn't matter. It'll still do enough damage to blow him away. Whereas, boom, and we hit him with HE and blow him away as well. Whereas with the AP round, could have just been absorbed by the tracks completely. It does happen quite often, even on little AMXs and stuff, like scout tanks. So I've gone back to an AP round now because I've run out of HE ammo. Even though HE would still be good for that AMX, which is just up there now. And as you can see, that last shot I got where I just killed that AMX 5100, HE was good there because I didn't have to worry about what part of the tank I was going to hit, or was it going to be a bit of a glancing shot. I just fire HE, bang, because yeah, he was behind cover then. As long as I hit part of his tank, he was dead. So HE still has its uses, especially considering that it's cheap compared to Hesh. So if you want to have games where you still want to make a profit and not actually lose money every game, HE is still a viable alternative. So waiting till I'm fully aimed. I was almost fully aimed there. I fired the shot, but as expected, we miss. And like I say, you might be looking at this, getting a bit frustrated, saying, man, you're missing all the time. But like I say, if you're firing at range, this is pretty typical. I'm just going to speed it up now a little bit. I'm going to speed it up to 4 times. So I'm chasing after this AMX now. And we're actually capping, but we just got reset. In fact, we got killed, our guy on cap. So I'm slowing back down to normal speed. You can see there, they've got 2 tanks left, and we have 2 tanks left. They have the AMX 120, and they have the their medium tank. I can't quite read the writing, so it's a tier 8 and a tier 9 left. We have me, and our tier 9 STI is still live, probably hiding at the back still somewhere. So I've been spotted, which I'm really worried about, and I'm moving my tank from side to side, like I'm wiggling in the front, because I'm thinking, shit, someone's about to shoot me, and I'm just trying to wiggle it so that they can't aim accurately at my lower plate. I don't really know where they are, because they're not on cap. And, obviously it's their cap. So AP round is loaded. I'm crazily looking around everywhere. Okay, AMX 5120. He gets a hit into us. Alright. And we get a good damage roll for AP, 1359 damage. And that was my last AP round. So I now have, you know what? That wasn't a good round for AP. That was a Hesh round because I'd run out of AP. So that was actually a Hesh round, which is probably why we got the over 1300 damage. So the Hesh round fully penetrated, and because it has an average damage of 1750, it actually blew him away. So sorry, wasn't an AP round. It was indeed a Hesh round because I ran out of AP. So I now have one round left in my gun, which is a Hesh round, and that's it. After that, I'm completely out of ammo. So our STI is now capping, and I'm staying down here because I've only got one round left. I can't afford to miss, and I'm thinking, okay, this other guy's going to try and reset at some stage, and I just want to be ready. And he's been spotted. He's on my left side there, or behind me basically. So I'm quickly trying to turn. I'm also getting on cap. And we're going to line up this medium tank. We should blow him away with a shot, and ha! The STI gets him. Oh well. I don't care. End of the game. Okay, so we didn't actually do a heck of a lot of the damage, but it was a class 1 game, and it's mainly because of the actual spotting damage we did. We also managed to earn a Defender badge. And yeah, you can see there the spotting as well as hitting of tanks. So let's have a look at the next screen. We finished second for XP in that game, and we also finished second for damage out of both teams. Yeah, we did. So it looks like our T95, I didn't really see him in action much, but he did a fair bit of damage and got a good amount of XP. Next screen. So we fired 11 of our 12 shots. 6 of them were direct hits and 5 of them penetrated. So one I think was just tracks only. We did 3,363 damage, and 1,200 of that was from a distance of more than 300 meters. We received 2 hits, both of which penetrated. Vehicle spotted 1. We damaged 5 vehicles, destroying 3 of them. And assistance damage was 2,951, which is quite a bit. Unusual to get. Usually I don't get much spotting damage with this tank, even if I'm brawling in it. So, yeah, that was a lot for me. Base capture defense points, well, we got 11 base capture points and 114 base defense points. And we actually made a profit in this game, which is surprising since we fired 11 of our 12 rounds and didn't do a lot of damage. I think it was the spotting damage that actually gave us a lot of XP, so I made a profit. I'm also wondering whether I may have, I might not have had to pay for a repair kit because I had some already, so that might have saved me a bit of dough. But yeah, unusual. I don't make a profit often in this tank. So anyway, 1012 XP was enough for a class 1, which probably means that around about 1100, 1150 is probably master in this tank, which is really not a lot. So it shows you that in this tank there aren't really that many people having monster games like you'd probably think with a gun like this. It really is, especially since the latest patch where the Hesh has been nerfed. It really is a lot harder to get big games, or for me anyway, it was a lot harder than I expected it to be, to get big damage games in this tank. Okay, next game.
Let's go.
Okay, so here we are. It's almost exclusively a tier 10 game. The enemy has a tier 9 and 2 tier 8s, all the rest are tier 10, and we have 1 tier 8 and 1 tier 9, all the rest are tier 10. As you see, there's a lot of TDs, and the enemy has 4 heavies. Now, what is this map called? This map is called Redshire. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's see how we do. I'm taking up a position which I found is really good if you're in a TD on Redshire, if you're starting from this end. So you'll get to see that position. I'm just going to speed it up here. We already know the speed of the tank from the last game, so while I'm getting into position. So yeah, just in this bush here amongst the trees, I'm actually covered from the left as well as from the front. So waiting until I'm fully aimed, firing, and an AP round straight into that E50M, doing 1,134 damage. Great start to the game. Someone's nailed the Leopard, which is good news for me because don't like scout tanks when you're in this tank. Don't want to get spotted out here. Okay, Jagdpanzer E100 would be great to hit this guy on the side. He's moving. I don't... Oh, beautiful. 1,134 damage. It's always risky when you have to move your turret and shoot in this thing because the aiming, the accuracy is so bad. Every time you move your turret, you're losing aim. Foch 155 was tracked. Can we get a shot? Ooh, oh, there's an RHM. Oh, I've lost both of them. It's just too risky to shoot whilst moving the turret. Really need to aim. I mean, you've only got 12 rounds. You couldn't see it there, but I did have the top of the turret to aim at, but we missed with that shot. And even though I'm shooting at pretty long range, you can see there that's 500 meters. So I'm anticipating where he's going, but he's ducking down the slope. No, too late. You can see there the turret does take a while to turn. So it looks like some of these shots have dried up. Oh no, here we go. No, I'm just going to speed this up to 2 times. Okay, looks like we might have a shot here on this RHM. Waiting for my aim to... Okay, it's aimed now. And we get it in, but it's a low damage roll. Only 923. An average damage roll would have killed him. Unfortunately, that was a low. That's probably about as low as you can expect to get. As a general rule, you don't normally get shots that low. Alright, an IS-7 there. Would be great to take out the IS-7 heavy tank because that's probably one that people have trouble penetrating. With our 310 mils of penetration, especially on this angle, we should be able to get him if he stays still. Whoa! Nice. It was only 763 though, so someone else must have hit him beforehand. But still really good to get rid of that IS-7. And we happened to be on a good angle because he was tilted down to us, making his armor a bit flatter for us. And we were a bit lucky. They're hitting a moving target. It's pretty hard with this thing. As you see, the shell velocity as well isn't super fast, so it is a little bit hard to hit moving targets. I mean, I guess you're firing a shell the size of a bus, so it's probably understandable that it doesn't travel super fast. Fortunately, somebody else gets that guy. We would have had a perfect shot in his lower plate there. I'm just going to speed this up to 2 times again. And now 4 times. Whoops, back to 1 times just in case. Don't have a shot 2 times. Back to 1 times. Looks like I was going to take a shot. Am I going to take a shot? Look, checking behind me as you can see, whilst keeping my finger on the right mouse button to keep my aim where it is. Do we have a shot, sir? Come on, come on, come on. No. Back to 2 times. So I decided to move forward and see if I can nail this Jagdpanzer E100. I'm travelling at 2 times, but I'm doing about 38 kilometers an hour in case you're wondering. I just get spotted by this RHM, so back to 1 times. Line him up. Come on, come on. Aim, aim, aim. There's no point in firing without aiming. Someone else gets him. At least we're not going to get shot in the back now. So now I'm going to go back after this Jagdpanzer E100 that I saw. Ah, there's an FV215b up there being spotted as well. Now, it's pretty close. We have 5 tanks remaining. They have 4. Okay, Jagdpanzer were... This isn't really how I wanted to encounter him. Taking my time to aim at his lower plate. And the shot goes in. So he did 479 damage to me. And we did 1,186 damage to him and taking him out. Now, the 183 there fires at us. misses but does 61 damage. And if we have a look on the left hand lower left there where he tells us what people are firing at us, you can see he fired a HE shell at us. Actually, it says it's come up yellow, so actually that was a HESH shell, even though it says HE. That was a HESH shell, and it exploded near us and did a little bit of damage to us. Lucky it didn't hit us. It probably would have killed us, because our armor's not great. So now I'm trying to get some revenge on this 183. I didn't wait for full aim because I thought he was backing down a hill. And as you can see, I think actually that shell has orbited the moon. It went so high. Crikey. And that's the end of the game. Okay, so not a bad game. We did plenty of damage. It was a class 3 badge for that game. Let's have a look at the next screen. So we finished down the list for XP. Damage wise though, we did the most damage on our team, and I think the Jagdpanzer E100 did more damage than us on the other team, but that was about it. So we finished second in the game for damage. We fired 7 shots, 5 of those were direct hits, and the 5 that hit did penetrate. We did 5,160 damage, which is the most I've done in this tank. The 3,974 was from a distance greater than 300 meters, so we were lucky that we had good accuracy in this game. We hit 5 tanks, destroying 2 of them, and we actually earned a bit of income in this game. Interestingly though, that 5,160 damage was only enough for 799 XP, which gave us a class 3, so it's pretty tough to get a mastery badge in this tank, and I haven't got one yet. And you see the last game though, we did more XP, but that was with less damage because mainly we did a bit of spotting damage. So you kind of probably need to be brawling and do spotting damage as well as actual damage to get mastery in this tank. Now I was going to include a compilation of AP, HE and HESH ammo, and so you could see the damage to do, about 20 to 30 shots from each ammo type. I'm not including this review because it's gone a little bit too long. I'm going to include it as a separate item, so watch out for that upload. Thank you for watching my review of the FV215b 183. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun!